So in your profession, just like my professions, there's licensures, there's standards, there's boards. But you
Mhm.
mentioned something called decolonizing therapy.
Mhm.
Elaborate on that a little bit more because sometimes we don't realize because we are held to these standards, because we're supposed to practice in certain ways, it could limit
Mhm.
things. So elaborate more
Yeah.
on decolonization, really in a lot of professions.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's definitely Decolonizing Therapy is a great book where I've been learning a lot by Dr. Jennifer Mullen. And so that book, I'm learning a lot of challenging things that I actually never really questioned because they were taught as the history in grad school. And these were the, quote unquote, founding fathers of psychology, and learning that actually a lot of those practices were indigenous practices or practices that were actually created by BIPOC individuals and kind of have been changed and labeled as these different modalities or different acronyms. And so I think in a short way to, I guess, to define like the decolonizing therapy is learning and unlearning the systems and structures that we were told just were. We were told because someone said so, this is just how we practice, or because these are the risks, this is just what you do. Um, and so learning to question those things. And I think there's also a space of learning to be vulnerable enough to call ourselves out and saying that, oh, like I probably did do something that was actually harmful to clients in this way, or this isn't something that actually is supportive of building a relationship with a client in a healthy way. This is a sterile way of building a maybe a white coat client relationship. And so learning to really call ourselves out of like I was doing things, I wouldn't say wrong, but I guess doing things in a way that support colonization and really strip away some of the essence of these original practices that were indigenous.
I agree. Like there are systems in place to
Hmm.
profit the let's call it the incumbents.
Hmm.
So that's why a lot of professions take insurance. It's a lot of why
Yeah.
professions are done in blocked sessions,
Mm.
industrialized. So that's interesting. So what are some of the key tools you're using to kind of think outside the box and manage the risk as well?
Sure. Yeah. I think first and foremost, I think I tried to show up more as myself because there was a point in my career where I was very much the white coat therapist. And it actually, I had an amazing client who's given me permission to share this story because I share it all the time. But they shared with me that I think in one session that they were a bit uncomfortable like opening up because I was always like poker face, showed no emotion. I think at the time I still kind of wear dark colors, but I would always wear black. And just there was never anything out of place. I think I would used to wear my hair in this like tight bun back or would have my hair straight. And so there was never um, to them, it was like speaking to a robot. They described it in that way. And they're like, I really can't open up. And part of me at first was like, oh, that really hurt my feelings. But then I had to take a step back. And I think this connects to decolonizing therapy to say, like, oh, actually, yeah, I could see why that wouldn't work. If I was in your shoes as well, I don't think I would open up too much and can reflect on times that I've worked with therapists and haven't opened up for that reason. And so I think that lesson has come with me a long way of there is a way to have a relationship with a client that is still rooted in boundaries. And so I'm not, friends with clients, even if there are clients I'm working with that I could see myself being friends with. So there still are those boundaries that I'm ethically, keeping in place. There aren't dual relationships where maybe a client is a client and then also maybe serving this role of like being a hairdresser or something like that. So there are definitely some separations there that I think decolonizing therapy is kind of working towards demystifying some of those as well. But I'm in a space where I do really keep those boundaries pretty separate and rigid there. And so that helps minimize risk. I think also thinking about the ways in which I practice foster more honesty from clients. And so I'm able to assess, say, like safety risk with clients, I think a lot more accurately than I would have in the past because I was following this, really checklist of things that wasn't from a very human perspective.
Yeah.
It was just like, okay, well, how do I get, really my need met, at the end of the session? And it's not about me, right? It's about that client. It's about them really feeling like they can open up in that space and can get their needs met out of that therapeutic relationship.
Okay. I know in my world, they say a client won't listen to you unless they know that you care. And
Yeah.
showing
Hmm.
that you care, it could be a lot of different things. But like you said, showing up, being present is a good start. I like that a lot.
Hmm.